there'd probably be some funny clips.
Oh my
God! Big China, little China.
That's not what it's called!
I'm looking forward to when you put all of the cuts of this at the start of the video.
I'm literally crying already.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Breakfast. As you can see, we've changed it up a little bit. I've got Ruth and Tim here with me. They let me live in their house.
Oh, you know we haven't got a Bible for this.
Whoa. So, this week we're talking about the Bible, and we have one now, thank you Tim. So I thought we would just have a conversation this week about why we love the Bible in particular. Nick gave a preach last week about the Bible, about the power of Scripture, why we should read it, why it's important for us to engage with it as Christians. So we're having a conversation today, we're eating cake, having a cup of tea. It's delightful.
It's good.
What kind of cake do you guys have?
You told me earlier, caramel and almond?
Yeah.
Thanks, Lucy Freeman.
Amazing cake. So yeah, we're just going to have a conversation. And hopefully, we always pray that God meets you while we do this. So join us in this, grab a cup of tea, grab a piece of cake or whatever you want, sit back and relax. And let's get stuck into today's topic. Let's start with a practical question. How many Bibles do you own between you?
Ooh, between us.
Or each, and then we can add it up.
I think we actually don't share Bibles.
Really?
We've only got separate ones.
COVID secure. No, that's not right.
No,
like,
but we were just. I
there's
think
a few different
we haven't bought
translations.
any Bibles since we've been married.
Okay.
Because we both came to this marriage with a lot of Bibles.
How many Bibles?
You've got 2 minutes. Go find them all. Scavenger hunt.
I have 2 and then one that's on my phone. Oh, and maybe a Gideon's one as well.
Does that count? Would you say that counts?
No, it's only the New Testament, so I don't know. But yeah, so 2 real ones, 1 phone.
The phone
I've got
doesn't count.
I've got one on my Kindle as well. That
It
counts.
doesn't count.
That's a separate entity.
Well, I mean, it's a
And then a Gideon Bible, which is the New Testament, which is it's still truth. It's just
it's missing a bit. Yeah.
part of the story.
I mean, I'll ask you a question. Does it use the language real Bible there? I think a lot of the guys watching this probably have it on their phones because, you're teenagers.
Very useful as well. Not knocking it.
Yeah? But do you think there's something special? Nick likes to say this. He always says, there's something special about holding it in your hand. Would you agree with that?
I do. I think there is something special about holding it in your hand, and it is great to flick through and be able to kind of see how everything goes together as well. I think that's what if you're looking at say Joshua or something, you can go to it and be like, oh, so this comes after this and this, whereas on a phone you lose that completely, don't you?
True.
Despite the fact that it's not in any sort of chronological order.
Oh, well, the actual Bible, yeah. No, but I think you still know how the story's being told. Joshua is in chronological order, and that it comes after.
Yeah.
It's quite story based, and some of that is really useful. And you can kind of tell where you are in history vaguely. Give and take.
As soon as you're reading the word, it's good. If all you've got is a digital Bible, hey, good on you, right?
Yeah.
That's
times,
it. Yeah, I think it's really practical to take out and about, and if you're on the train with a mask, social distancing, and you're oh, what was that thing that I'm looking up? I Google passages so much because I'm I've got something in my head.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not good enough to know exactly what verse that is, but I do want to read it right now, and I want to read the stuff around it. I'll just Google it. Get it up on my phone.
Google's doing a nightmare on remembering verses from the Bible.
I mean, that's true.
Like,
that's true.
It's a good thing remembering some verses from the Bible.
True.
Yeah.
But I do remember them.
Yeah.
I just don't remember the details at the end.
Like where they are.
Yeah.
How many Bibles do I have?
Yeah, go on.
What about the one that's in your heart?
I've got my main Bible,
Okay.
which I like.
You very much have your favourite Bible.
Yeah.
I also have a favourite.
I've got a favourite, general purpose Bible. I've got a travelling Bible.
Travelling is just a little tiny one.
Yeah, a little tiny
And that
one.
was
The whole Bible.
It's like this big.
Yeah.
You can tell I was old. But that was always good because...
that was if you're on a train.
Not so much on a train, but if you're if you're doing a youth camp or you're like doing some evangelism.
Out and about.
You don't want to be carrying around like a big.
No, because I've got one that's like it's hefty. It's like
Oh yeah, you've got your massive like.
it makes a sound
Yeah.
when you put it on the table.
Got my old youth Bible. It's pretty battered right now.
Okay.
Where is that?
I don't know.
On the
keep that
Bible
Bible
shelf?
separate.
It's on the Bible.
Probably yeah. We've got like a Christian bookshelf.
Christian bookshelf.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so I got that like a battered youth Bible from when I was a teenager. A lot of like annotations, highlighting. It's pretty wrecked. It's a sign that good Bibles are in a mess.
Yeah, I agree. The one I use most is just
Falling apart.
it's fallen apart.
This is my like presentation Bible. This is the one that like isn't highlighted or anything, but I do have one where I have highlighted bits of it. I went through bits of the Bible like a couple of years ago now, highlighting all of the time that God makes promises in one colour, and then I highlighted all of the times where there's like suffering in another colour. A very wise lady told me to do it. And you can kind of see that every time that there's like suffering in the Bible, actually God's promises are still true throughout. And so I did that for a couple of chapters.
That's
and
cool.
like, a couple of books. But yeah,
Wow.
so there's one, and it's like a lot of highlights. So it looks like I've just highlighted everything.
You've just got
that. So I'm like, this is good stuff, guys.
Good stuff.
Just love my colouring in.
So how would you describe them? Your relationship with the Bible when you were like 13, 14, 15 years old. Like you just said, Tim, your youth Bible was pretty well used. I think maybe there are a lot of people don't relate, or they do, but for yourselves, how would you sum it up?
It was kind of like, I don't know, when I was a teenager, my relationship with the Bible was like all my other relationships, pretty on and off.
Yeah.
You know, I think, I kind of got it wrong, where I was like, when I feel like it, I'll be into it. When I don't feel like it, it can go underneath all the other books that I'm reading at the moment. You know, like the 5th Harry Potter had just been released. But yeah, no, it's just sort of like with like sometimes I'll be like, yeah, no, I'm really going to go for this. Actually, to be honest, a lot of the time it was when I thought that people that I liked or admired or was friends with, that they were also like reading the Bible a lot. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to miss out, so yeah, do it. So I don't know that it was the best relationship, but there was still good stuff there, you know? Like, even though I wasn't probably approaching it in the right way, God still did some good stuff with it, which he's nice about. Like, he's nice like that.
Yeah, this is true.
Very nice.
So I think a bit different to you. When I was younger, I had, I was like quite good at school, and I think I wanted to like win at the Bible.
Oh, interesting.
But I did it completely the wrong way. So what I wanted to do was I think they always said, like at my church that I went to, that the Bible can help you out in any situation, which I thought meant whatever situation you're in, there is a specific verse and you just have to find that verse and it will be okay.
Either that or like bear attack, throw a Bible.
Ooh, no, I didn't think that. But then I'd be like, oh, bear attack. Hold on. There must be a bear attack verse in here.
Or you'd be like, Google, bear attack, stop it.
You have no idea what I just
Stop
found.
it.
Proverbs 28:15, like a roaring lion or a charging bear.
Stop it.
Is a wicked ruler over helpless people. I'm not joking.
Stop. Where?
15. Yeah! That's literally the first thing my eyes went to.
I wish that we were clever enough to set that up.
Okay, so sometimes that happens.
We've just caught a holy moment, guys.
The point I was trying to make is that
That
actually,
doesn't work.
I'd be like, oh, someone at school has like been really mean behind my back, look something up, and it's like, oh, God, you're really good. And I was like, that's not relevant. Next. And I think like, I was really like, I think I did that for a while, got really frustrated at it, and then was like, well, this doesn't work, and just like, try something else, you know, whatever. Whatever's next. But then I think as I've gotten older, I've come back to that, and actually, there'll be times when I'm reading the Bible, it's completely irrelevant, not like a bear attack.
Bear attack. No.
Yeah, but like I'll be going through something, in like a relationship with my family, and I'll be like, oh, I really want some wisdom in here, and I'll read a story that sometimes seems like completely unrelated, but actually when you think about it and you get deep into it, there's actually like real truth there and real like help there. And it's not the help whereas just like the instruction manual, like you don't know how to spell a word in the dictionary and then you look it up and it's there. But it is alive and it is speaking. I think that's what they say, isn't it? That's what Nick was saying on Sunday. Like it is always speaking, like it's always relevant no matter what situation you're in. So maybe it's not something bear attack, but it is like actually there's loads of foundational truth and wisdom which we can learn from.
Yeah.
It's pretty complicated though, right?
Isn't it? Like
even the simple bits are the most complicated.
Yeah, the tiny. That's why like we were just in Proverbs there. Like even like a couple of verses of that, you're like, you could spend hours, days, the rest of your life just trying to figure out. Yeah. And like I think that's why it's good to talk about like how do you approach it, because a lot of people I think they get a Bible, they go I want to read my Bible and they go from the start, which controversially I don't know if that's the best place to start actually, at the front. I think.
I like, yeah.
You know, if you've got one day to live, do you want to read Genesis or do you want to read the Gospels if you've never read the Bible before?
You could probably power through all of it. If you were feeling keen.
Depends what your speed reading was like, I think.
You look at this Bible. Can you see the Bible, Mark?
Yeah,
right.
kind of.
This bit here that I'm holding, that's the bit with like Jesus walking around and doing stuff, right?
Not a lot of it to be fair.
Not a lot of it. There it is. Yeah? Not very much. All of this here, all of that, no Jesus walking around. And so you've got to wonder why it's there, right? Because like if you spend a lot of time around church, people are like it's all about Jesus, right?
Yeah.
True.
Not untrue.
No.
Right?
I was going to say.
And it is, right? So, but then the question is like, how does all of this story that's in here and all of these like, it's not just story, it's like poetry and rules and songs and all kinds of other stuff, history, all of this stuff, and then all of this stuff which is basically just people writing to their mates around 2,000 years ago.
About this stuff.
Yeah, this is just like the WhatsApp of 2,000 years ago that someone's like leaked their conversation forever and
archived.
I mean, like, and if you read it, there's some pretty personal stuff in there, like people's relationships and like stuff that's going wrong in their families and whatever. It's like, it's not just abstract stuff. So what is, like, how do we understand this bit and all of this bit when all we have is this bit with Jesus in? And like, the way I like to think about it is that this kind of works like a lens, right? Mm-hmm. So we're looking, if we imagine...
Lens Goodman.
Lens Goodman. We're like kind of over here, right? We're kind of over here, looking backwards, right?
Hello.
If these forks,
backwards.
these forks,
backwards. We're looking that way.
we're looking this way.
Oh, yeah.
Alright.
Right? Backwards in time. Time's going that way. And we're looking backwards, like, towards the lens.
Oh.
Right?
This is me doing this.
And
My
all
eye.
of, like, this stuff kind of helps us focus through the lens of Jesus and what Jesus has done onto all of this stuff that happened before. Right? So all of this only makes sense because you're looking at it through the lens of what Jesus has done with all the focus of all the stuff that comes after. But it's weird, right? So where do you start?
There.
You start in the lens.
Start
right?
with the lens.
Because this is the way that you understand all the other stuff. It doesn't make any sense without that bit.
That's really good.
That's pretty convoluted.
I mean, no, I like that. We're okay with convoluted. Because, you know, we want to learn, you know, we're encouraging, and we do it every week. We want to encourage you to ask these questions. We address difficult things sometimes, but it's good to go away and talk about it. And we talk about it in the week as well. So that's really good. So maybe last question. For yourselves, how would you sum up why the Bible is important to you, or important to us as the body of Christ, as a Christian? Why is the Bible important, in your own words?
I think it's like such a direct way to hear God speak. I think so. We talk about like hearing God's voice, and sometimes like we literally hear a physical voice, and sometimes we get like ideas and pictures from God. But often the things that we get are just like repetitions of what's happened in Him already. Like, I think you can't understand any of that stuff without knowing what's in here. And this is such a key way. And it's not just like, oh, some people are able to hear God's voice really well. It's like anyone can go to this book and find out what God's saying to them. And I think it is super relevant today. Like, understanding the history of it and the culture that the people are writing in takes a lot of time. And like, again, you can read like one passage over and over and understand it differently each single time. But I think the fact that every time I go to this, I'll read a passage and get something new out. And sometimes it's even like, I've been doing Bible studies with like young people as well, so people who are like 13, 14, and they have like opened my eyes to things that the Bible is saying. I'll just go around and be like, what do you think this passage is saying? And actually I've come away with that like absolutely overwhelmed, because I'm like, they just like came up with so many things that I would never have thought of. And it's just always very eye-opening.
That's because like the only way that you can read this is with the Spirit.
Yeah.
So like, along with Jesus and the Father, the Spirit, it's all God. So the only way that you understand any of this is with the Spirit. So if you read it without that kind of like frame of reference, then it's really hard to understand, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense, this is really boring. Sometimes even with that you're like, I don't know if I get this. But you've got to bear in mind that it's like the Spirit will speak through the Word. So like, unlike like other religions, like the Bible itself doesn't have like any like spiritual like power in itself, right? It's just a book. It's just words that are written down. But with the Spirit, it becomes something like so much more than that. Like, it says that the Word is the sword of the Spirit. So like, the Bible, when you're with the Spirit, becomes your defense against the enemy. And like, if you look at Jesus, that's what he uses the scriptures like that. So he uses the scriptures to attack people who are trying to like trip him up.
To literally fight against the devil.
Like to fight, and then also like literally when the devil comes to see him.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, he doesn't have anything to say to when the devil's like, oh yeah, you could like turn these rocks into stone, or you could become like king of the world, or whatever.
Because the devil like manipulates the words that are in there and tries to turn them for evil.
Yeah.
But Jesus knows what's in there, and he can fight back and be like, actually, this is the truth. And knowing the truth and speaking the truth is so much more powerful than we can even begin to imagine, right?
There's always like a temptation that we'll like float off on our own way. Like, if I was allowed to just think of like whatever I thought was right or clever, I'd come up with some crazy stuff. And like, even if you hear people who are wise people, like even like Nick, Marjorie, Latifah, like leaders in the church, you should always check what they say against the Bible, because if what they're saying doesn't line up with the Bible, then what they're saying is wrong, no matter who they are. Like,
yeah, it's truth, isn't it? It's like you say, it's the foundation of truth. It's the truth, and that's how, like you're saying, we can know without having the pressure of like knowing, if that makes sense. Like, I don't need to make anything up. I don't need to try and conjure up the knowledge. Like, it's here, and also it blows my mind. You know, in the Western culture that we live in, like we were talking earlier, it's on my phone, it's on my Kindle, it's here, I've got 20 of them in the house. There's some people who don't have that, and they've only just recently getting translations of the Bible in their own language, and, you know, we've all seen videos that like, you know, but we show those videos and, you know, we look at that because it's like that hunger and that just awe of the word, I think sometimes is lost in a culture where it's saturated. So I just always pray when I read my Bible, or I think I'm going to read my Bible, that I can have that hunger and that like realization every time I have it. I'm holding it and it's here on the table and it's there on my phone, that I'm like, oh my goodness, God's basically written a bunch of letters. He's just written a whole book to us. And that's actually amazing. And wow.
Yeah, and I think if you're like not hungry for it and you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, I should do that. Oh, that's really something I should do. Just ask God for the hunger. Like, he wants to give you the hunger, and then he wants to feed you so that you're not hungry.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're not like yearning for more of God, just ask. Like, he's so willing to provide that. And I think everyone gets to that point where they're like, oh, like me actually personally can't be bothered. Like, not that excited. God, will you make me excited? And like always comes through. I've never seen him not come through on that. Like,
that's true. Well, thank you guys. That was a good chat. And I think for you guys, like, do go away, pray for that hunger. And you know, we're talking about we're in the season of holy habits as a church. Disciplines, as I said a couple of weeks ago, and that means that sometimes, for a lot of the time, you're going to have to push yourself to do it. So I do encourage you, like, spend time reading your Bible, even if you don't want to, just do it. Like we've all given testament to here, it's a powerful thing, and it is a life transforming thing to engage with something like this, and it's a privilege as well. So I encourage you in that. As always, we've got our Tuesday and Friday Zooms if you are a young person in this church, so do come along to that. This week we're going to be talking about the Bible as well. And so thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, guys.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bible.
Thank you, Lord.